welcome. I'm so happy to have you all here today. I'm Marcy Lightfoot, and if you haven't met me already, I'm the career coach for students in media arts and communication community. So anybody that's looking for internships or jobs or just wants to get connected, networking in any of those industries, I'm the person that you can meet with and talk with. So we're really excited to have this wonderful group of students with us today who've all done these amazing internships, and they want to talk to you about what they did in their internships, how they got their internships, and just kind of what the value of doing an internship is. So this is very laid back. We're not in a formal setting here, so feel free to ask questions. Have any of you in the audience done an internship already? Okay. Are you possibly looking to do another one at some point? Yeah, so they're going to talk to you about the value of doing even multiple internships. And so what I'm going to first do is I'm actually going to have them, we're going to go right down the row. I'm going to have them introduce themselves. I'll have them tell you their major and if they have a minor. And then I'm also going to just have them maybe say the internships that they did. And then we'll come back and we'll ask kind of specific questions. But we'll just go down the line to start. Okay, so Tyler, do you want to start?
Sure, yeah. Good afternoon. Thanks for coming out. My name is Tyler Williams. I'm a senior here. I'm studying mass communications, minoring in political science. I've been interning all throughout college, and this most recent one that I had was with McCormick up in Hunt Valley. I was on their custom flavor solutions team, and I was doing marketing for them. Other internships that I've had that I'm happy to talk about or answer questions with are with the Baltimore Ravens. I was also with the Aberdeen Ironbirds for 2 years. I worked on Governor Hogan's re-election campaign, and I was also on Tony Campbell's team for his U.S. Senate race.
Hi everyone, I'm Molly Spiker. I'm also a senior here at Towson. I'm a mass communications major too, and I have a minor in business administration. My internship was at the U.S. Naval Academy under their sports athletic department, and I was just a sports marketing intern, so I had that this past spring.
Awesome. Hi everyone, my name is Alexa Herman and I'm a senior studying communications and I have a minor in marketing. So I also work for the Career Center interning with the three of us, or not Molly, but like Tyler and them. And then anyway, but so I worked there, and then over this past summer I interned for Marriott International at their headquarters, and I was in owners and franchise services for the Distinctive Select brand. So it's like all their new hotels that are being made as a brand analyst intern. And then I've also interned for some PR event marketing firms, different nonprofits. So I've kind of really tried to like expand my internships into a lot of different categories, so when I graduate I kind of know like what I like and what I don't like.
Hi, I'm Emma Campbell. I'm a junior here, a mass communications major. I'm also a public speaking intern at the Career Center. My most recent internship was this summer with AARP in DC. I've also had internships on Capitol Hill and with a government technologies company.
Hi guys, my name is Natalie Bland. I'm a senior. I am a mass communications major with a double track in journalism and public relations with a minor in Spanish. This summer I interned with WBAL TV. I also work at the Career Center. I'm the videographer. And then I've also interned at WMAR ABC 2 on York Road, Baltimore County Public Television, and Girls Life Magazine.
Hi guys, my name is Elizabeth Adeo. I'm a marketing major with a minor in economics. I interned at Pompane over the summer. I was their marketing analyst. And I also interned at Keller Williams. It's a real estate brokerage in the city in Canton. And I was their productivity coach intern. And
They might not know what Pompane is. Do you all know what
Pompane,
that is?
the olive oil company.
It's olive
So,
oil.
it's really a big competitor up there with Bertolli's. I also interned at Keller Williams real estate brokerage. And I also managed a cafe downstairs on the first floor in Actus.
I'm sorry, is it too early to ask a question?
Not at all.
So this is for all of you. Is the majority of your jobs, were they based in like DC or in Baltimore?
Mine was in Baltimore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine was in DC.
Yeah, mine was in DC and Bethesda.
Okay.
Mine was Annapolis.
Harford County, Baltimore County, Annapolis.
Mine was in Baltimore County.
Okay. Did you have a reason for asking that?
Yeah, I live in PG County, so it's kind of closer to DC. So I just wanted to get like an idea of.
Yeah, and we have Where's Emma? Oh, she printed out a list. I'm gonna, for those of you who would like to take one of these home with you, I have a copy of some internships that are actually listed right now on Handshake. And some of these you said are in the DC area. And this is just a sampling of what's on Handshake right now, but some cool opportunities so everyone can take one of these before we head out today. Okay. So, all right. So one of the questions I want to have you answer and talk to them about is how you went about getting your internship. So I don't know who would like to start with that question.
I'll start. My first internship was the real estate brokerage, and I had that internship when I was a freshman in college. How I got that one was during high school. We had a career fair, and I was just basically telling them what I wanted to do. At that time, I wanted to do real estate, but that's not what I want to do now. The recruiter told me, okay, once you get into Towson, contact me, here's my card, and we'll work from there. So I got in Towson, contacted him the second or third week, and that's how we got connected, and that's how he got me my internship. The one over the summer at Pompeian's olive oil company, I got that one during the mega career fair over the spring. It was very quick. I talked to the recruiter there. 20 minutes later of us talking, she gave me an interview for the following week on a Thursday. Did the interview.
So tell them your story, because you actually, that's not where you were planning on, that's not who she was planning on talking to at the job and internship fair, but that's where she ended up. So tell them that story.
So I kind of already had, going into career fair, I already knew the companies I wanted to talk to. I already pre-planned who was going to be there. I already planned out how my resume was going to look per company. But I also had like extra resumes on the side for companies that I just wanted to see them, and Pompeian was one of them. I kind of just like scooted over. It's kind of a huge crowd, and I ended up getting into their at their table, and the recruiter just talked to me, and 20 minutes later she was like, you know what, I really like you. I have one open spot left for an interview. Can you come next week at 11? I said okay, and I was there. I did not want to go into manufacturing. It was just something that just happened, and I actually really loved it. So I got the internship. 2 weeks later, it was quick. A week later, she called me saying that I got it, how everyone liked me, the manager liked me, the COO liked me. It was like a 2-week process from the first day of the career fair until the day I got accepted in my offer letter. So yeah, it was pretty quick.
So that's a less kind of formal way of getting an internship. Does somebody else have one that was more formal that they would like to talk about?
Yeah. So pretty much everyone that I've had has been relatively formal. You do sometimes have to wait a while, and that can create some awkward dynamics, especially when you're applying in the spring. For me, when I was going into the summer going into my sophomore year, I was applying to the Ironbirds in Harford County, and there was a really long delay, a lot on their back end, just trying to flesh out some kinks on their side, and I didn't know what was going on. So as I was kind of scrambling through, I ended up accepting a more informal opportunity with Governor Hogan's campaign. And then after I accepted that, I received an invitation to join the internship team with the Ironbirds again, which is how I ended up doing too that summer. So you can get into some sticky situations, especially when you're balancing the informal kind with the formal procedures. So just trying to be able to communicate out and understand to the best that you can kind of what their expectations are and how long to hear back and that type of deal is important.
So my experience was, I feel like, a happy medium. I actually got exposure to this through the Towson Advertising Club, which is a point that I really wanted to make aware to you guys, is Towson's clubs are very dynamic in networking. Networking is like a really key component that I think universally all clubs really hit hard. Unfortunately, the ad club is not in session this year. Hopefully maybe next year it'll pick back up. But I know there's, I'm not sure what everyone's major is, but I know there's a dynamic marketing club, an awesome PRSSA club, there's a great real estate club. I mean, they really have tried to make these outlets for people to network, and that's how I got mine. My boss came and spoke at one of our meetings, and he, of course I went up and introduced myself, and he handed me his card. So
that fact that he met me, saw my face, made that connection, when I did go through the interviewing process, I feel like it helped a little bit for him to visualize, who I am as a person instead of just a cold call. So if you guys aren't involved in any on-campus clubs, I highly suggest trying at least one, because I was only in one and it really benefited me. So, throughout these next couple weeks with everyone doing their socials and stuff, make sure you check out the different clubs.
And Women in Business is another great
Right.
example.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And you can go on the Towson website and they have it gives you all the contact information, so.
Anybody else want to speak to that piece about how you got yours?
Yeah, sure. So I have two very different ones of how I got both of my different internships. So the one for Marriott, I wanted this internship more than I've ever wanted anything in my whole life. This is what I hopefully want to do. But a girl who played soccer with my sister, her mom worked there. So I had my mom find her phone number, and I sent her just an email saying I'm applying for the internship. I know it comes out December 10th. I have no idea how I found that date, but I did on some random website. And I told her when the date was. I really wanted to intern. I sent her my resume, and then she kind of started to put me in the right contact with different people. And then I ended up getting to the internship recruiter. And a girl that I went to high school with had the same internship I did last year and went to college with the intern recruiter. So then they both kind of connected me with her, and we had a pre-interview where she kind of explained what getting an internship here would be. We have different intern series and luncheons that we go to, and it's kind of the process that Marriott does is you send your application through an applicant tracker, and whatever kind of keywords get hit or highlighted, that's the office or branch that gets to see your application. So you really have no control over where you kind of end up. So I ended up in the Owners and Franchise Services department. So that was the only place that called me back. And I was freaking out. I think I honestly cried. I was so excited. But I interned with them. I had an interview with them on a Friday, and I spent a lot of time researching different facts about the company and trying to tie it in with what I've done and how it can relate. And that was the reason she told me why I got the internship, was that I spent so much time and proved how much I wanted it, and that set me apart from other candidates. So I definitely think spending the time researching, understanding what they do. I mean, I went everywhere on Google, PDFs, anything I could find to set me apart, I think really helped. And also that networking piece, the more people I networked with, it helped me. And then right before I started, I was at a graduation party, and the vice president, number 2 at Marriott, happened to be there. And so I went over and met with him. It was really so casual, and he's stop by my office on the first day. So I went up to his office, and then from there I kind of started to network with other people. So they definitely have more of a formal process. I definitely think it does help knowing someone, but it's just kind of the way it works. But their application is early, but yeah.
Yeah, so things that you were saying, the networking piece can be done anywhere. It can be your sister's soccer team, it can be at a birthday party, it can be at the gym. So it doesn't have to just be formal events or organizations that are designed for that. You can network pretty much anywhere, and sometimes you can actually find really cool opportunities just that way.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to share your story?
So mine was kind of formal and informal. So I actually was working the career fair in the spring, and it was the end. People were starting to clean up, and there was just one more company that I figured I might as well go down and say hi to, is AARP. And I noticed them because both of my parents are members of their organization. And so, but I didn't I told them that they're, but that doesn't really make a huge difference. But so I just talked with the recruiters and handed them my resume, and they were really great, and he said, I think I have a really good opportunity for you, and he would reach out to me later that week. So I emailed him a couple days later, and we started chatting. And originally, when I had seen their internships, I wanted to work at their headquarters in DC. and it's like this enormous building. It's beautiful, but he wanted me to work at the DC state office. DC's not a state, but that's what they call it. And it was a much smaller community there, and although I wasn't really sure if that's exactly the office I wanted to be in, he really knew that would be a great fit for me, because it ended up that the interns at headquarters weren't able to had a very limited amount of work, and I was able to do a lot more. But their application process is since it's a large company and they have a really big intern program, if anyone's interested, their intern program is really amazing, and they have them in the fall, spring, summer, and there's also a state office in Baltimore. But so they have a pretty intense interview whole session, which is typically over the phone if you can't come in, and that's what I did. So it can be kind of intimidating, because it was they were so serious about everything, but it ended up working out really well.
And if you're willing to go to the DC area, there are tons of associations, and they all do marketing, public relations, advertising, all of that stuff. So if you're willing to go to that area, there's a lot of opportunities down there with associations. Do you want to talk about yours?
Yeah, sure. So for BAL, I knew that I wanted to work there kind of for a while, because I knew that I wanted to go into journalism, and that's the station that I always watched, so I knew I wanted to intern with them. So it was kind of my own doing. I just kind of was looking on their website, and I think I applied 4 months early, and they had contacted me and said, did you want to do it for the spring or the summer? And I was like, oh, no, not till summer. So I actually applied twice. And then they just called me in for an interview. But with Girls Life magazine, I went to the PRSSA MassCom specific career fair. And I ended up talking to them there and gave them my resume, and then they contacted me.
And that will be happening again in the spring. So anybody's welcome to come to that. You don't have to be a student in that club or organization. You all are welcome to come to that as well. So there'll be a big networking event.
So this is maybe more of a more personal question, but did any of your internships offer paid housing if you aren't from there?
So McCormick did. I was ineligible because I live in Harford County, so apparently the drive from Bel Air to Hunt Valley doesn't qualify for an apartment. But I believe their radius was 50 miles. And I believe for the larger organizations, 50 miles is typically pretty commonplace. So the people who were living outside of Philadelphia and outwards were eligible for housing in the Hunt Valley area. All the apartments were in Towson, so they were just driving right up 83 and going there.
That's a good question though, but there are internships that do offer housing. And Glenda, I don't know if you want to speak to that for a second?
Yeah, I've seen a lot, and that's one of the advantages we have with Handshake, is that there are internships that are listed countrywide. And I do see, as Tyler mentioned, particularly the larger corporations, also organizations that offer fellowships often will include either housing or some kind of a housing stipend or living expenses. If they don't have corporate housing that they offer you, then sometimes they offset that with a stipend. But generally, if they don't have their own corporate housing, then they generally have identified places in the area, say an apartment complex or something, where most of their interns time to live.
And what's your major?
Mass communication.
Okay, so I just want to mention, and I also want everyone to take one of these too, because we have another panel coming up in October. But one of the people that's coming to that is the T. Howard Foundation, and they're an organization that actually places students in internships in entertainment and media. So some of their partner companies are A&E, Turner Network Television, ESPN, and NBA. So all the big names in entertainment and media. And they're looking to diversify the population that's working in these industries. And they do have a program that offers housing. Go ahead.
There's a similar one on the list called the Emma Bowen Foundation.
On here?
Yes, their mission is very similar to the T. Howard Foundation.
Yeah, so if you're looking for an opportunity like that, they're definitely out there. And we could sit and talk more, about how to go about doing that strategically. Yeah, so any other questions while we're sort of stopping for a minute? Does anybody else have any other questions for them? Okay, So I would like you maybe just to share a little bit about the kinds of things that you actually got to do in your internships. I think it would be cool to, and I know some of you have touched on that a little bit, but maybe spend a little more time talking about that. And I know some of you rotated functions, which is a really cool thing. If you can get an internship where you actually get to rotate around to different functions, that can be a really valuable experience. So I'll let you take it away.
We're gonna start.
I guess
Doesn't
it's
sound
just
the same.
good, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, mine are kind of tiered, I guess. A lot of the times, at least for me, I think something that we talk about a lot when we're talking about career prep is how are you supposed to get an internship when every internship says you needed to have an internship. Like you need experience to get experience, which kind of creates a bit of a paradox. And at least for me, what I found are the internships that kind of let you break through that pattern and really get your foot in the door and start working your way up are the ones that are far more hands-on, doing things that are experiential as opposed to being in an office setting. Both of my years with the Ironbirds had very minimal office work. It was far more customer service, fan engagement at the stadium, doing a lot of the experiential brand activations that they do. So, are most of you mass comm? Is that most of the room? Yeah, so I was kind of expecting from the get-go to be doing, PR in the writing sense, being in an office, but a lot of times when you're starting out, it's really being out with your hands dirty. And sometimes that comes down to, like manual labor, carrying tables and putting stuff together, but having that understanding really sets the foundation for everything else. Even when I was at the Ravens, we were still, we were putting up the Ravens Walk festival that they do before every game. We were out at different schools doing youth events. It's very hands-on when you're really trying to start out, and then you can kind of transition into something that's more professional and more akin to what you see yourself doing after college. When I was doing both of my political internships, they had a mix, and then McCormick, I wasn't doing anything experiential. I was at the point where they knew that I had those experiences lined up, and I was really in an office doing something very similar to what my full-time counterparts were doing.
Okay, so one thing I did want to say that I didn't mention earlier is when you see a title of an internship and it may not be exactly what you're studying, do not stray away from it, because when I first heard about this internship, I got a little nervous because yes, I have a business admin minor and whatnot, but marketing is not my specialty. It's not something that I've been studying. I have a taste of it, but it's not something that I studied full-heartedly. So it's a little intimidating. However, the best way to really get out there and experience it is do something that you're not 100% know by the book, and really dip your toes into something that you're not familiar with. So that is definitely, being a sports marketing intern allowed me to do so. So we ran game day events and promotions for all the teams we did: basketball, lacrosse, wrestling, girls lacrosse, women's basketball, soccer, but it was like, never mind, it was a different fun thing. But we did have special people come. We actually had the Baltimore Orioles come and meet our baseball team, so I got to interact with them and walk them around the yard, which was really, really cool. And then as far as office hours were concerned and actually being in the athletic department building, I really took a very big interest in studying trends on social media in different universities, especially the Big Ten schools. I wanted to see how I could get Navy to that level of Alabama, of LSU, of Penn State, and Virginia Tech, and see how we can be on that same playing field. So that was definitely something that I really took kind of underneath my belt and really ran with it. As far as other things that we do, it's really just, game days, what he said, what he did with the Ravens. It's just setting up, doing promotions, representing the team well, interacting with the audience and the crowd, which was really fun. And it's given me now the opportunity to try something else, and my old boss actually created an app. And so now I'm on the creative development part of this app. So it's just a ripple effect, and it's that networking. Like, if I never had the internship, I would never known about the app and never been where I am today. So that's my spiel.
Fun. Well, it's funny you were saying about the title. So was a brand analyst intern. I have zero experience with Excel. It like makes me so nervous. And when they offered me a position, I still accepted it, knowing that I would kind of have this like new challenge because I really wanted to go somewhere towards marketing or like training development. That was like what I anticipated on doing. But it was like, I'm just gonna go for it. And they were really nice of like giving me some different classes and videos to kind of watch ahead of time, but they knew that that I didn't have a lot of experience with Excel, but I've proven that I had enough to kind of figure it out. So my role was basically looking at Moxie, Element, Aloft, and AC. So these are like lifestyle hotels designed for like very specific audiences. So like Moxie's more fun and like young people, and Element's more for like a longer stay hotel, and like has a health mindset with it. So I looked at all of their different trends from like Instagram, Facebook, like watching different YouTube videos, and then compared that to like Booking.com, TripAdvisor, and then our guest satisfaction survey. So after you stay at a hotel, you like, you know, fill out 1 to 5, how did this help, stuff like that. So kind of comparing them to see like, are we hitting our target market? Are we not? What can be improved? What don't guests like? What do guests like? What do guests like preferences? Sorry, I can't really speak, but along those lines. And then I created a deck to showing the different ways that we can improve and kind of highlighted the different key problem areas and key opportunities to fix. And then from that experience, I got to go to our owners meeting in Colorado twice and meet with different owners, kind of get a perspective of how they understand working with their management companies and then the people actually in the hotel and corporate. So it was really interesting kind of seeing like the full path. And then that was basically my full day job, was doing this project, but I really made an effort to say that I wanted to go to as many meetings. I wanted to be involved as much as I could. So they were really great at giving me different projects here and there, and I got to go to all the meetings I wanted. And for the overall internship, we have weekly meetings with top executives in each department. So you got to hear someone from marketing, global design, who does like the hotel operations, who else, like food and bev, like we kind of heard from everyone. And then at the end, we do a hotel tour where we visit different hotels in DC, just so you can kind of get an understanding of like operations and what it's like, of why certain things would work and why certain things wouldn't, just because you kind of don't see it all at corporate. So it was really cool, the full path. And then just kind of for the communication side, they knew that that was what I liked and wanted. So they were great at like letting me kind of come up with different marketing campaigns and social media ideas based on what I found in my project. So I think saying what you want and kind of going in with expectations of what you hope to get out really made a difference. And it can't hurt to ask, and ask as many questions as you can. The more you can say you want, the better you're off going to be. And then just at the other place I interned for a PR company, it was a lot of like different newsletters coming up with different roadmaps and strategies. And I don't think if I didn't have that experience, I would have been able to do this job as successfully. So they really do, anything you have really does go hand in hand together, kind of preparing you for the next one.
I just want to mention something before we move on too. How many of you have used LinkedIn Learning? Has anybody used that at all? Are you familiar with it? So for example, if you are looking for a job and they say they want you to have some knowledge of Excel and you don't have that, LinkedIn Learning is actually a tool that you can use, and you have free access to it as a Towson University student. So I would recommend looking at that, kind of perusing it. You can actually go on the Towson's website and type in LinkedIn Learning, but there's different kinds of certifications, there's tutorials, there's all these great videos, and there are several different content areas, like creative, technology, and business are the 3 content areas. So that's one way that you could gain some knowledge before you apply to an internship or before you went for an interview or something like that, to kind of get some of that basic information.
Yeah, and then just one more thing, that I also went on YouTube to like other things with LinkedIn Learning, but just to like recap, I went in knowing that I had no experience and ended up like loving doing analyst work. So I'm kind of now thinking something like that. So with the title, like, don't let that deter you, because originally I was like marketing, mass comm, like only picking with those titles but all companies need people that have that background. You can prove with your marketing experience, like they are looking for people that are different and are out of the box, and that's kind of where our majors fit. So I went in thinking this was going to be awful and ended up like this was the best thing that's ever happened. Cool. Go ahead.
So my title was communications intern, which was kind of broad, I felt, because I was applying to internships like social media intern and things like that, but it ended up being really good that it was broad because I was able to do a lot of different things. So in my office, I was the only intern, and I worked directly under the director of communications. So I basically worked with her every single day and worked on everything she was doing. So she gave me a lot, which was really great because at first it was like, it's kind of scary because you have to learn everything and you have to get used to it and all, but someone who you work under who's really good is going to know that it's all a learning curve and they're going to help you with that. So I was able to do social media. I created a ton of social media content as well as like videos and articles and everything, and ran some social media campaigns as well as I was in charge of their social media in general. I also I wrote articles and blogs, newsletters for their website. And then another neat thing I did was I was able to do some event planning, which is something that I also really like. So it was kind of perfect because I got to like dabble in all areas of communications and mass comm. So I worked on the DC Pride Festival. They had an appearance there. They were one of their sponsors. And then also the City Open. We were one of the sponsors, so I did like all the promotion for that and helped set up the event. And then I also was a neat thing working in the state office in DC was I was able to kind of focus on the DC community, which was really important to me. I live also in PG County, so right outside, but it was really neat to like really focus on the community and be able to direct everything that I was working on in a way to benefit them. And I also worked on their national campaign, their RX for Good campaign, which is like to lower prescription drug prices. So that was really interesting. So I was able to kind of see all the different parts of communications that the organization did.
So for me, I got to rotate through the 5 different departments in the news station. So I was in engineering, where I was with Master Control, and they actually sent some of the programming from like LA and New York, and I was able to prep the shows so that we could air them. So like making sure the closed captioning was right and all of that stuff. And then I went out in sales. I went out on some sales calls to sell some advertising to like a local church. And then we went to Planet, the advertising company, and we were explaining OTT. So it's how they like track advertising on like digital platforms. And then I was a part of that. And then for programming and public affairs, I was a part of the Artscape. So we had like a big tent. We're one of the media sponsors of Artscape. So I was able to sit in on some meetings on how that was all coordinated. And then I was able to help put some stuff together for some of our promotion at Artscape. And then I helped set up for it. And then I was there talking to the community. So that was really fun. There was creative services, so that they kind of have like their own separate company where it's like Studio 11, so they go out and make their own private advertising. So I was on a shoot with the University of Maryland Medical Systems. So I was like basically a production assistant. I helped them record everything and get everything set up to kind of put together a package for them about Towson Orthopedics. So that was really cool. And then I was obviously in the newsroom, so that was a really great experience. I sat in on morning meetings. I was able to go out with reporters, and they actually let me ask questions and interview people on the street for their stories that were going to go on the 5 o'clock news. And then they let me write my own version of it, and then they kind of compared with the reporter who was writing their version of it. So they let me shoot some live shots, so I have now footage for my reel. And then they let me, like the photographers, I went out with some of them. They let me shoot some of my own footage. And then I sat in with some editors when they were editing the packages for the show. And they gave me like editing tips and showed me how, like kind of how they did things. I helped some of the producers log some video and write. And in the morning meetings, I pitched story ideas for the reporters. I went in for the 4 a.m. shift and went out with one of the morning reporters. So definitely tried to get a little bit of everything.
For me, my internship at Pompeian, I was the marketing analyst, so I did a lot of market research and hands-on. So one of my main projects was just researching their top retailers. So since the company was a B2B company, so it's a business to business, so they sell to retailers. If you don't sell to retailers, if you don't make a positive relationship with them, you can't sell your product. You don't get good shelf space. Your product may be at the bottom and the back, and you have like another product in front of it, but no one can see yours because it's in the corner. So I researched like Publix and Walmart and Giant and Whole Foods and all the major retailers in the whole basically the whole world basically. So what I did was I would research their initiatives. So let's say Walmart wants to be, all friendly with like the environment, if they want like sustainability, if they want all their products to be, recyclable. So my goal was to see how can Pompeian's product be recyclable? Can their lid be recyclable? Can the plastic be recyclable? If you don't have a relationship with them, you can't do anything. I worked under the marketing manager and the COO, so I would report directly to them. I was in charge of doing campaigns and hosting events, and it was kind of nerve-wracking because I did a lot of things from scratch, and I'll have to give the COO information. If you don't have anything, it's like, doesn't look good on you. So it's kind of nerve-wracking, but it's kind of friendly at the same time. I had chances to go to New York multiple times to visit their ad agency. I got to see how ad agency actually works from the 9-to-5 perspective, back-to-back meetings. Things are really rolling quickly over there. So it's kind of fun. What else did I do? I worked on the company's newsletter. I created that every other week. It was kind of like the hardest thing ever, but it's kind of rewarding because it goes out to everyone. It goes out to stakeholders. It goes out to the CEO in another country. It goes out to people on the East Coast and the West Coast. I created events where I had to start from scratch. How do I get catering? How do I feed 100 plus people? How do I market this event from the East Coast and the West Coast and people from another country? Who's invited? What's the agenda look like? How does it flow? It's a lot of work, very tedious, but at the end it's very rewarding. I worked with a tech company who photographed all the company's photos. A lot of the times retailers, they request an image and they'll come to one site. It's called Quickie, and that's where all the images are pulled from. But if your images don't look good in the photo, it doesn't sell, it doesn't have a good relationship with them. I sat with the Oreos, created a new product with them. I had the chance to basically I felt like I had a hand in the company. My manager, he invited me to all his meetings. I was on all his calls. If he went somewhere, I went there. I was basically like the mouse, just following. It was kind of fun. My other internship was at a real estate brokerage, and it was all basically cold calling. I called like 50 to 100 people a day. It was ridiculous. It was basically I had to recruit people who took their real estate exam, people who took the national or state, whether they passed or failed. And my job was to basically get them to sign with the company. It was kind of hard because you really have like 10 seconds to attract people. People are busy, they're always on the run, they're driving, they're at lunch, they don't have time to talk to you. So you have 10 seconds to get your spiel out there. And some of them will hang up on you, but some of them will actually listen to you. And you're like, okay, I got you. And then now they come in the company and you sign, and now you have commission. So it's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding. So, yeah.
I was going to say, does anybody have any questions for them? So personally, this sounds completely awesome to me, but what do you guys think? Like, I'm amazed at all the wonderful things that you've done, all the experience that you've gotten, and the opportunities to travel and sit down in these important meetings, meet all these people, and I think that's amazing. So anybody have any questions?
Just out of curiosity, do you guys plan on going back to the internships you were working at, or did you want to like try something new?
I mean, if they offer me a job, like, I will take it in a heartbeat, obviously like weighing out all the options, but I think for Marriott, it's definitely difficult because it's a rolling basis. So if I apply now, like I have to accept the job now where I'm not graduating in May. But they have some nice like programs that you can do to kind of help you reintegrate in the company called Flex. And then they also have the Voyage program. So I'll probably go through Flex to go stick with corporate. But if like the opportunity was like, I would do it in a second.
If they offered you a full-time job, you're totally taking it?
Yeah, pretty much. And like you have like an exit interview and I like told her that and they were kind of like, okay, like kind of like winking, but I'm like, is this like confirmed? So I don't really know, but I just think that there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of growth, and I was, weighing my options of like, well, if I stick in one department and I want to move to another, like you can do that. So I feel like you can kind of get experience and have a role in a lot of different parts of the company. And yeah, like I would do it. I think it's just been a really awesome experience. So for sure.
So I'm going to let you ask your question first, but I want to come back to it because I know some of you their opportunities have come out of this. So I want a couple of you to speak to that. Because a lot of times these internships will turn into permanent things, and sometimes they'll make a place for you. And so I do want the individuals to speak to that, but I'm going to let you ask your question first.
So I have a question about WBAL. Are they owned by like another company, about like Sinclair or something?
They're owned by Hearst Broadcasting, so they have stations, like sister stations and Hearst Company across the country.
So how did you manage to get your application in front of them? Because I've applied like a million times, and I feel like every time, I know that it's a larger company, so they might not see it because of keywords. I'm a marketing and also like film major, minor. So I was just curious, like, did you network with someone, or
How have you applied? Have you applied through like Hearst or WBAL, like 11?
Hearst? And I saw that there was so many different things within Hearst. So like I emailed Studio 11, I emailed WBAL, and so and they were all like, go to the Hearst website. So that's why I was wondering.
So I applied on the WBAL like TV 11 website. But if you talk to me afterward, I can give you like the direct email.
Okay, sounds good.
Perfect. That was a perfect networking opportunity.
And just to add on that, a lot of companies, they have an REP system or an algorithm where if you don't have keywords, you're automatically not even considered for the internship.
Right.
So if you want to just go on like the mission statement, pick keywords, put that in your resume, tailor each resume to the company that you want, they will contact you. They will.
Yeah, because like I always go about it like LinkedIn, like look to see who's like the recruiter or the HR department and like message them. Sometimes people don't always message back, but yeah.
Anybody else have a question for them at all? No? Okay, so some of you I know are having opportunities with your company or organization beyond the internship experience, so who would like to speak to that?
Okay. So with McCormick, they are pretty open about the fact that it's a 10-week interview. Their goal is always to retain 50% of their interns for full-time positions, and it's not something that is taboo for you to ask when you're going through the process for any internship to say, is this more just designed for experience and my personal growth, or are you all really looking for full-time opportunities to come out of this? And companies will be pretty realistic with you. For example, the Baltimore Ravens, they will tell you it's really difficult to get a spot full-time in our marketing team, but doing this internship does help your chances per se, whereas McCormick is far more open with that. My position was 10 weeks throughout the summer in their formal internship program, and then my boss basically said 10 weeks is up, but I still need you. So I was extended through December. I was the only intern to receive an extension after the 10 weeks. And then I was told last week that I'll be getting a call with an offer in 2 weeks for full-time after graduation. So it does happen, and definitely just be open and transparent. But a lot of times you'll also find as you go through that where you are may not be the right place for you, and that's totally okay too. So I think the big point is don't be afraid to ask about it, because they know that if you're in an internship, your goal is to get a job, whether it's there or somewhere else. So just remember that you're not a nuisance by being proactive.
So would you suggest asking that like in the interview before
Yes.
you even get offered the
Yes.
internship? Okay.
And of course, it's all about framing. You don't want to say, am I going to get a job after this? Because they're going to say, I don't know. But you
Right.
can say, are there's just ways to frame it in a professional way. Are you, what are the opportunities for growth after this internship? And, that's when they'll be pretty realistic. But yeah, like you can tell usually.
So you found out just last week?
Yes.
That was at the end of the week?
So it was actually at the career fair.
Well, because I talked to her at the career
Mhm.
fair, and she said to me, "We're going to make an offer to him, but you have to keep it a secret." And I was just like, "That's not easy for me to do." And so I was really excited for you to find out, so you have to keep it a secret anyway. So,
yeah.
But that's just an amazing success story, and we love to share those. But I think it's really valid to your point that not every internship is going to be this amazing and wonderful opportunity. There are going to be internships that are going to be an opportunity to help you figure out, hey, this is not really what I want to do, or it's not the place where I want to work. So we can talk about that in a minute, but I want you to share your experience as well.
Sure. So when I went in for the interview at BAL, he said I look at potential interns as potential coworkers. So I kind of went in with the possibility of growth. And so I just kind of did everything I could to show initiative and an opportunity, because I sat on the assignment desk, and they said, go ahead and find a story and set it up. So I found a story, and apparently I was the only intern that did that, and there was 5 of us. So right when the internship ended, the assignment desk manager emailed me and said, one of our assignment desk editors just got a new job, she's moving, and we think that you would be a good fit. So she told me, she set up an interview with me, and I went in, and after like a week, she said, we had 2 other people, they already graduated, so we're gonna go with somebody else who has a more flexible schedule, but we really want you here. So they created a position for me that's part-time. I started yesterday, and so I'll be working, thank you. So I'm working on the assignment desk, and she's really flexible with my schedule, knowing that I'm still in college, and she wants me to grow on the assignment desk, but then also work with one of the morning producers, and they said they want to grow me to be full-time when I graduate.
So that's just awesome. I love to hear of those situations. It's amazing. Anybody want to speak to an internship that might not have been, has anybody had that experience, might not have been what you had hoped it would be, maybe learned it's not what you wanted to do?
I can speak to that as well. My internship at Girls Life magazine, I kind of liked the entertainment kind of aspect of it, but it was not what I expected. I sat in front of a computer and didn't speak to anyone all day. It's not what I want to do. So I just kind of did it for the summer, suck it out, and then I decided that magazine was not for me.
And I did the same thing. I was actually a magazine journalism major undergrad, and I did a magazine journalism internship, and I decided that's not what I wanted to do either.
Yeah.
But so it can be a really good learning opportunity, even if it's not leading you, down that path, but to know that maybe I want to go down a different path. Anybody else?
Yeah, that happened to me. Not that I didn't not love the internship. It was a very progressive internship for me individually. I feel like I grew a lot as a person and am able to talk to adults way differently than I did beforehand. But watching kind of behind the scenes how the sports world works, it's intense. It's 24/7, 7 days a week. Like my boss, you're in the office from 8 to 5 every day, but then if basketball's at 6, then you're not done till 9. And that could be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then you have your weekends where it's baseball from 2 to 6. You do not have time. So I sat back and I was like, whoa, I do not want to do this. I want to have me time. So that was definitely the biggest thing. Is I don't know if any of you are interested in the sports world. It is demanding. It is time consuming. He can be, I'm sure he's very exhausted, but it's also very rewarding because you see a lot of things come into fruition that you work on, and you see these plans, that you start from the root and grow into something beautiful. So of course there's that as well, but that's just definitely something that I know that going into the professional world, hopefully in May, it's not that. So yeah.
Also, is anyone here considering sports in any capacity? Yeah. Yeah. So the best piece of advice that I was ever told about sports management is if you're doing it because you like the sport, then you're probably going to end up not liking it. You will decide down the road, are you passionate about sports management, not sports, because it's a totally different beast, and it can be incredibly rewarding. The people who do get into it absolutely love it. I learned over my 3 years that it's not for me. The moment when I kind of realized that I was talking to a full-time intern with the Ravens, because they don't actually offer full-time positions on their salary right off the bat for any entry-level position in marketing. You start as a full-time intern where you do not receive benefits and you are still working hourly, and you're kind of at their discretion. It could be 2 to 3 years before you receive a full-time offer. But I was talking to someone in there who was trying to work his way up, and I said, how do you balance the Ravens with your own life? And he said, I don't have a life. This is what we do. And even in the off season, it's still very demanding. So you just have to keep that in mind. And that's not saying don't do it. It's just saying be aware of that, because it can be great. You got to know what you're doing.
So we don't have a whole lot of time left, but I would love just to kind of go down the line and have you just share one piece of advice that you think could be really beneficial to everybody else, kind of just a nugget of something that you would love to have others know.
I'll start. Does anybody need an internship for BizX? No? You? The one thing I could just say on that topic is just don't settle. Pick a company that you see yourself working for after 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. Because I know just for BizX alone, it's kind of stressful because it's kind of like you can't graduate without an internship. I know people who are third-time seniors because they can't get an internship, so they can't graduate. So just pick a company you see yourself working for, don't settle, and you'll be fine.
And so Tasha, actually, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, girlfriend, but so Tasha actually now, she used to work in the Career Center, now works for CBE, but if you are management, right, that's your area.
I'm your person.
So she's
management, leadership and management and human resource management. So everyone in the college has to go through the professional experience course. So in the event that you are struggling with securing an internship,
see her. She's got a lot of contacts, actually. So even if she's not your person, I still think you should see her. There are, like, if you're a marketing person, you do have someone too. That's Lauren Teague. And every area in business has one. What do you call them? Professional development partner? That's your title?
Yes, that's the official title, but essentially it's just an academic and career advisor. So there's one for each department. So depending on, by the time you take a 460, you should be a senior anyway, so you're probably already assigned to a faculty advisor, but within the SACS office, there is an advisor for each of the departments that can help you navigate during the internship job process.
And because she used to live in this world, she's a great person and has a lot of contacts, knows a lot of people. Okay. Yes. We'll go down the line. Natalie?
My advice would just to definitely be like put yourself out there, go and talk to people. For me, it was kind of intimidating with like the reporters or even like the managers to kind of ask for opportunities or put myself out there, but you're not going to learn any other way. So like everyone there was really excited and happy to help the interns, but you still had to ask for it. You had to like show initiative. And I know some of the other interns didn't really do that and didn't really talk to the full-time staff, so they don't have the opportunities.
So I would definitely say if there's something that you really want to do or that you're really interested, definitely ask if you can do it, but most importantly, offer to do all the work if it's your idea, because I was noticing like that their social media just was not getting the engagements when I came in that like a company like that should. So I asked them if I could do some like analysis and then create a strategic new social media and marketing plan for them, and they like that's something that they were like, oh, you really want to do that? But like I was able to use that, and now I'm able to put that on my resume. So just because I was like, hey, like I see that you kind of struggling here, can I work on that? And then always like build up from those opportunities, because my boss saw that I was interested in marketing too, so she had me meet with the multicultural director of marketing for the nationwide organization, which was really intimidating but amazing. She's an incredible woman, and making those connections are really important too, because in our meeting she was like, oh, like I'm gonna invite you to the Women for Google like conference next year. And I was like, okay, fine, like here's my phone number, please do. So you never know like who you can talk to, what amazing opportunities can come out of that.
Yeah, and for kind of also finding internships, I think changing how you're about going your search. So this is how I found like my previous internships before Marriott. Instead of saying like summer marketing internships like in DC, I searched by like company. So I did like marketing agencies near me, small business marketing firms near me, like boutique agencies. Like that was just switching the searches. And then I did like trade companies, like kind of going it in reverse, like looking at companies, and then I would click on all these different companies, see what kind of internships they had. So now I have like a running list of everything I've done, like of collection over 4 years of different companies that I've already really liked, know who had internships and who didn't. But I was finding so many more places to apply to than other people of just doing like summer and spring. So it definitely helps of going in reverse, looking at companies, and then even knowing like clients. Like for example, I looked up like who was Nordstrom's like out agency or something, or like out of house. So kind of thinking like what companies do I like, and then thinking in reverse really made a big difference on how I kind of found other places I really loved.
And you also had like a whole big spreadsheet for it too.
Oh yeah, it's like massive. Like I had the company, who their contact was, if they had an internship, and then their deadline, and then I wrote like different things about them. So now like when I'm ready to apply, like I already have places that I love and really am interested in, and then I kind of am trying to do like informational meetings with people now. So when it comes, when they're thinking about budgeting and when they know if they need a hire, like I can kind of stop in. And that was the same thing of like also working and getting back to the jobs. Like in December, a lot of the companies are like, send me an email, send me a cool article you found. So I'm like, oh, like this is interesting. So I just sent to my boss. I was like, hey, like this is so cool. Like thought you would love it. Just trying to like keep your name out there and reminding people who you are. So I'd say December if you're graduating, and same thing for spring internships. Start looking now. They come up really fast, the deadlines, and same thing for summer. They're fast, and I don't think people realize March is almost too late. Like it needs to kind of be a little bit earlier. So just keep that in mind as well.
My biggest piece of advice is always remain to be you and be strong in who you are as a person. They hired you for a reason, not just because you're Excel proficient or whatever. They hired you because of these characteristics and things that you have in yourself and in your mind. So all of you are very driven, because the fact that you're here has already put you that step ahead of everyone else. And so when you do accept these internships, which I know you all will, make sure that you stand a presence of who you are and explain to this company, this is me, this is how I like look at things, and this is what I'm proud of and who I am. And a lot of times they'll eat that apart, and your ideas will be just as important as his ideas. Like my boss and I would sit and we would collab for hours, and like some of my ideas that came from my head were at baseball games and lacrosse games, and I'm like, oh my God, I did that. Like that was me, because it came from me, and I stuck true to my roots and like my personality. So make sure that when you do go in there, stay who you are and like be you and be proud of that, and they will take you seriously if you are willing to put yourself out there. Yeah.
You have the ability to create your own value far beyond what's in the job description for anything. I hate to say it, but like fake it till you make it, sort of. You don't want to say that you can do something that you have no capacity to do. But if you think that you have the potential to grow in a new avenue that isn't currently something you're doing, absolutely take advantage of it, as long as you're aware of the investment that you have to put in to make that happen. Pretty much every internship that I've had, I ended up doing things that was not originally a part of the plan, and that's what makes you stand apart. The job offer that I am going to be receiving is totally different than anything I would have considered myself doing, a couple months ago. So just don't be afraid to go in different directions, especially things that may not be what you're currently studying.
Cool. Anybody have any last minute questions for them? No? Okay. So you can certainly email me directly if you want more information from any of them. If you want to sit down and have an appointment with me, if you are in the MAC career community, I am your career coach, so when you go on Handshake, you would automatically see my schedule and be able to schedule an appointment with me. So I'd be happy to meet with any of you to talk about your internship possibilities, how to go about the search, and whatever else would be helpful to you.